Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Coffee Break, and welcome back to the CoffeeCast ProCast Edition, where I am going to be bringing game number 3 of this best of 5 series. Spawning on the bottom right-hand side on Antigua Shipyard, he is going to be the victor of the first 2 games. It is EGStephano as the Blue Zerg player. On the top left side, he has an uphill battle awaiting him. It is the Red Protoss LiquidHero. And I would like to say, before I get going on this cast, it's been 2 days since the last cast, so anything I say about previous games is probably wrong, because I've kind of forgotten it. I have calculus to remember. I don't have, like, the brain space to be remembering everything that happened in game number 1 and 2 days ago. That's long gone. And, I don't know why, but XSplit was all sorts of jacked up when I was trying to get stuff set up to cast. That's why I do sound tests, because if you don't sound test, everything will be wrong. Everything was jacked up, so I spent, like, the last 20 minutes getting ready to do this cast, and now I'm just exhausted. I'm just really tired now. Maybe that's slightly pathetic, but, you know, that's, that's the way things work when you get to my age. Ugh. The ripe old age of 20, it gets hard on you guys. It gets hard on you. ZvP going to be laying down the 15 pool, probably going to do a 15 hatch or something right after that. Might actually wait to get Zerglings out, probably not though, because that would take quite some time. Probe is going to be here to block that. Yeah, same old, boring stuff there. Over here, boring stuff as well. LiquidHero just doing nice, that nice little forge, fast expand. That pylon, is that pylon actually a little bit close? I think the pylon actually does come down the ramp a little bit here, but I think that's so that he can get a little bit more reach out this way, rather than just having it back here and having to lay down a second pylon and then a third pylon to finish all the wall off. It gets quite tedious. Hero looked like he was considering throwing down a gateway there, as he does know that the spawning pool is done. I mean, he saw the timing. He was in here with that probe for quite some time, was able to see that that went down definitely before the hatchery. So, but I mean, it was just a 15, that was just a 15 spawning pool. It wasn't super early. I don't think Hero's really expecting any sort of quick aggression out. In fact, he still has this pylon over here, and now the Zerglings popping out. He knew when those Zerglings popped out because he knew that a Zergling would be coming onto the pylon to be able to take that down. So, feeling perfectly fine, going Nexus, then Cannon, then Gateway, and actually he could have easily gotten away with doing Nexus Gateway Cannon. Just get the Gateway up a little bit earlier. Probably would have been up about 10 seconds earlier. Not the biggest deal, but if you're looking to do some sort of tech play, especially if we're going to be seeing Hero doing that Stargate sort of play again, then you really do need that Gateway, you know, pretty much as early as you can safely think that you can get it. Just because that Stargate play does take a little bit of time to start, you know, getting on a roll, getting into effect there. Especially you want to get that Stalker out early on to deny any sort of scouting with the Overlords. Because, I mean, it can still kind of work if it is scouted. You can still maybe get around and get maybe a couple drone kills, maybe a couple queen kills, and get some map control. But it's just going to be so much more effective, obviously, if your opponent doesn't know it's coming. Stargate play is a little bit fragile. It's definitely worth it. You can definitely make it pay off. But it's a little bit fragile in the fact that it's kind of easily countered by just the basic stuff over on the Zerg side of things. You make an extra queen or 2. You make a spore crawler at each of your bases, maybe 2 if you're feeling really scared. And especially if you get your bases connected by creep, then, I mean, Phoenixes are actually pretty easy to hold. Stephano did go ahead and take his third base as his natural rather than just waiting for that pylon to go down. A lot of Zergs do that. That's just kind of smart. Queen already down here at the natural expansion to be able to inject larvae in that as soon as that's finished up. In fact, a lot of, I mean, just as the queens, I've always been impressed by the queen timings, how people, we didn't see it this game, but I know last game, I recall, I mean, right as the queen got in front of the hatchery, it finished and he immediately had the larvae inject going. And it just always baffles me the timings that players can get with that they know exactly when to start sending that queen down. It just, I think, is beautiful. No Stargate play out of LiquidHero this game, and I agree with that because, well, it hasn't worked 2 times in a row now. So it's kind of a bad sign. I don't mind if, you know, in game number 1, yeah, I lost the Stargate play. Maybe I can do a little better in game number 2. I think that is perfectly acceptable. I think Hero is definitely making the better choice here. Going for the robotics play, maybe a little bit more standard, but might be able to find some sort of effectiveness against Stephano with this strategy. Stalker wailing away at the Overlord. Did the Overlord, though, see the robotics? Yes, it did. And knowing Stephano, he probably clicked on that building and knows exactly what it is. All 4 gases are in play. Does Stephano see that? Well, he only saw 2 of the gases in play. But I think that really, I mean, he kind of has the read on this build at this point in time. He'll probably know that a few more Warp Prism. I don't know if I necessarily agree with getting the Warp Prism first over on Hero's side of things. He only has one Warp Gate right now. Well, I guess by the time the Warp Prism gets out and gets across the map, these additional gateways will be done. I think Hero's actually finding a nice timing here. I take back what I said. I think that this is going to be kind of perfect, just like those Queen timings we can see out of Stephano. And the Warp Prism isn't moving across the field. All right, well, I don't really know exactly what Hero's planning on this, but if he does decide to go south with that Warp Prism, this Overlord will indeed spot that Zealot and Stalker moving out across the map, clearing off that watchtower. Just getting a little bit of map control going. Roach Warren is down and on the field, but really it looks like that's just more for protection than anything else. In fact, quite a bit of larva being used on Zerglings and Roaches. I think Stephano might be expecting a little bit bigger of an attack. I think he almost, I'm almost wondering if he's starting to gear up for a Zealot and Immortal Sentry all in. Oh, can Stephano see that? No, I don't think he saw that Warp Prism. I don't think he saw the Warp Prism. Oh, wait, no, I do think he did, because he's actually sending units over there to counter that. I think Stephano may have been expecting the Zealot Sentry Immortal all in, as he was gearing up quite a few units for that. He only saw 3 gases, which is as much as you need for that build. He only saw, I mean, he saw the robotics and the gateway, and then was not able to make it into the main. So there very easily could have been three additional gateways, you know, a total of 7 gateways sitting in there, maybe 6. But that's not exactly what Hero is doing. I mean, he does technically have Zealot Sentries and Immortals, but he's not going for that build exactly. He's doing this slightly older style of play. You don't see this too often anymore. The Sentries loaded up in the Warp Prism, either force duel off the ramp or force duel around the mineral line and drop the Sentries off and maybe warp in a Zealot or something. You can kill off quite a few probes that way. It looks like this is kind of an interesting position out of Hero here. Going to sit down on this little patty here, pick off an Overlord, warp in a Stalker, load back up, and probably just kind of continue to try to find maybe a little opening somewhere around the way to be able to just do whatever damage you can, really. Maybe, oh, nice job picking up that one creep from here. And this is actually great harassment out of LiquidHero, because there is nothing on the ground right now. Well, I guess there's nothing in general Stephano can really shoot up with, unless he has a Queen just like randomly out in the middle of the map. And really, you don't, I don't see, you know, making an extra Queen just to try to counter this Warp Prism as that big of a deal. As long as Stephano's active with his ground units back home, he'll be able to thwart this Warp Prism. But that's the thing, you have to actively be at home with your ground army to be able to thwart that Warp Prism. So I think Hero's doing a great job with that harassment there. I would love to say Stephano, smart play by him, denying this third for just a little bit longer by dropping the creep down there. I always think that that's such an intuitive play out of Zerg players. Pardon the awkward pause, time for a drink of water. I always think it's really an intuitive play out of Zerg players. And it's such a simple, easy thing to do that can either force your opponent to put a Nexus in a weird spot, like maybe try to take that middle expansion if they're really desperate, or it forces their expansion to be just a little bit longer. Now, Stephano, we have to remember, did make all the units earlier on, expecting that big all-in play. And since he has all these units, well, you may as well do something with them. 12 minutes, 175 supplies. Stephano looking to do maybe a little bit of aggression. I don't see him really pushing into this all that much, because there are a lot of Immortals here. Quite a few Stalkers as well, and just a few Zealots to be able to help out with the small number of Zerglings that are here as well. Great position by LiquidHero, getting back in that corner. Force Guilds are going to be very imperative in this battle, as you don't want these Roaches getting too close. I mean, even if Hero does have a nice army composition, that is still a lot of stuff on the field for EGStephano. And now it's just kind of a position game. I would definitely give Hero the advantage in this fight. This third base, though, being denied for even longer. That pylon is taken down. These two Stalkers just kind of awkwardly up on the high ground. So there are a lot of Zerglings here. But again, Force Field and this nice little crevice definitely going to be in Hero's favor, especially considering he has the Link Warp Prism coming back, and apparently that's going to be his time to try to do something. I don't exactly understand that one. Force Fields are going down, keeping most of these Roaches off. The Roaches are able to kind of get up and get a few free volleys off from the Stalkers. before they finally do blink back, but the force shield's just too good. The roaches cannot get up, and all the Zerglings have died, and now it's just going to be Stargrid and a lot of Immortals versus these roaches. Warp Prism is on the field, as well as a pylon in the back here to be able to defend against that. Stephano is pushed back, but not before delaying this Nexus for an additional 3 minutes. That was not a kill shot by any means. Stephano just wanted to kind of stay there as long as he possibly could to keep that off, I guess, off of his back. And I think that that actually went greatly in Stephano's favor. Despite what this unit's loss tab said, Zerg was up on 3 bases for quite some time, had that army that he, you know, quote-unquote accidentally produced early on. And that's a great way to make something out of nothing there. So now Hero is taking a 13-minute expansion. You really want that, I mean, like 10 or 11 minutes at the latest in Protoss versus Zerg. And Hero definitely going to be playing from behind on this one, getting Hallucination. Might be wanting to try to make something happen with that. I don't know. Hallucination is see all too often. Looks like the Immortals are going to be dropped off in the main base here, but the Infestors are there to fungal growth those 2 Immortals, fungal growth the Warp Prism, and that is a big victory there for Stephano. That was a lot of units dying pretty much for free right there. I mean, you don't get a much better engagement than that. Quite a few spine crawlers down on the field. I don't know what the purpose of those are. Oh, it looks like Stephano's actually maxed out. Well, would you look at that? That happened when I wasn't looking, apparently. Look at this beautiful army split from Stephano going around the top side, the bottom side of this watchtower, and straight down the middle. Stephano playing this absolutely beautifully. I have not seen unit control this absolutely stunning in such a long time. Charge is on the way, but I don't think Stephano is going to be willing to wait for that. The Zerglings, the Roaches, and the Infestors all barreling down on this third base. A couple of great force shields go down, but there is still this top engagement angle, but Stephano doesn't want to quite push that yet. The engagement angle not exactly what he wanted there, and is going to fall back home once again while he moves towards those Broodlords. It looks like, as that Spire is now on the way, going to be getting the Hive Tech, no doubt, right after that Spire does finish. Probably get the +1 air weapons as well, as we saw in the previous game. Now, what was the mistake Hero made last game? He didn't have the Vortex. Now, against this army composition, yeah, Vortex is blatantly useless. I mean, honestly. However, no, it would be useful? Having some Colossus, having some Argon, some Storm, just some sort of AoE capability, because right now we're seeing this big mass flooding style of Zerg play. I wish you could see me. batting my hands together ferociously. You're seeing this big, massive Zerg style of play where you can just remax this army so quickly, and you don't have the AoE to be able to take out these units very quickly. Then you can find yourself in quite a bit of trouble when the Zerg army remaxes and half your army is dead because you just went for an army trade there. Zerg is trying to establish a fourth base. He does not have any sort of protection tree. He technically does not know that this Colossus is hallucinated unless he was really paying attention there. That base is canceled, but Stephano only going to be on 3 bases still. And again, getting so late into the game on 3 bases, this kind of seems to be Stephano's style of play, his preferred style of play, is staying on 3 bases for a very, very long time, maxing out his army, then trying to take a 4th and a 5th base, maybe even all at once. The LiquidHero is maxed out as well, trying to find that, once again, that nice engagement angle here. I don't know if he's really going to be able to find it because there is just so much defense here for Stephano. It looks like he might even be kind of falling back with these spine crawls to help defend against this massive army. Now, Hero is going to have to be very careful because this does promote multiple engagement angles for our Zerg player here. You could definitely wrap around the back here and try to get a little bit of a flank, and that is exactly what we are seeing. It looks like actually Hero completely abandoning his high ground position. He's trying to engage on the low ground. I don't know if I completely agree with that, but it looks like he is kind of going all in at this point in time. Stephano is having to fall back a little bit to try to reposition his army, but I think Stephano is really just fine in this engagement. There are so many Immortals here, though. There are still 4 Immortals, considering that we lost 2 earlier. 84 Zerglings are on the way right now. That is a lot of Zerglings with that 2-2 upgrades. Roaches at 2-1. Stephano, I wouldn't necessarily say he's at any sort of advantage in that upgrade count, as LiquidHero does have the 3-0, which is going to prove super effective against these Roaches, considering the number of Immortals we have on this field. If Hero can get up on any sort of buildings, you know, he's freaking set at that point. Fungiro's not really going down too much on top of his army, instead opting for those infested Terrans, which those just aren't going to last all that long considering the amount of firepower we have. Stephano really needs to get these Zerglings in the back to wrap around the back here. I know that they're around somewhere. I'm not exactly sure where. More reinforcements completely stream in from LiquidHero with this Warp Prism, but I don't know if it's going to quite be enough. Stephano does have that defensive advantage, has another round of units popping out now, has all of these corruptors on the field with really no purpose as the Broodlord tech is not finished yet, and there are no Colossus on the field. Those were just hallucinated earlier on. Where are the reinforcements for Stephano? I know I saw 84 Zerglings pop out, and unless those just died instantly somewhere like in a suicide or something, I don't really know where they would have gone. Looks like Stephano actually might be starting to get in a little bit of trouble here. His third base did fall. He has no fourth base to fall back on right now. LiquidHero is pushing up the road, continuing to get units out on the field, continuing to pump out upgrades. His 1 armor did just finish. Now going to be trying to put him in the natural expansion. There are quite a few spine crawlers here. This is risky business, even with the number of police officers and Immortal teams that has going on here. It looks like there are a few roaches left on the field, but Hero's army just so powerful compared to the composition of what Stephano has at this point in time. Hero with some great blink by keeping the Stalkers alive for so long, still trying to push up the ramp. Look at the last of the Immortals has fallen. One Zealot desperately up here trying to poke away at these Spine Crawlers. I think that Hero might have just enough to break this, though. It's going to still be kind of a close engagement. 17 more roaches coming out on the field. Desperately trying to keep these corruptors alive to be able to get these Broodlords on the field, but I don't know if Stephano can really stall long enough. Drones now getting into the engagement. Is it going to be enough? I think Hero, once again, definitely at the advantage here. Drones actually surviving for quite some time, rather impressively there. I would hate to be a drone still at this point in time. Roaches all getting backed up behind this hatchery here. Zealots over in the mineral line, killing off what's left of what was mining there. And it looks like Hero is going to have enough to break this with what's left of his Stalker number here. Greater Spire is just about to finish up. 2 Corruptors are on the field. That's really going to be Stephano's last bane of hope. Not bane, last thought of hope. I don't even know, but I really think that at this point in time, it is over for Stephano in game number 3. Yeah, I honestly don't know what he can do at this point. One Broodlord being morphed in at this point in time. But there, yeah, we can even see, oh, the dancing out of Hero. How cruel. No infestors on the field to lock down these Link Stalkers from getting underneath the Broodlord. So that means that this is just about it for Stephano. I mean, once again, he has no way to be able to protect these Broodlords. Greater Fire being target fired down, not going to matter all that much because there aren't really any more corruptors on the field. Zealot's getting on top of what's left of the drone count here. Only 10 drones remaining at this point in time. Units tab, I think, is the more important tab to see. As Stephano isn't able to make anything right now. 17 Link Stalkers still on the field. The big congrats out of EGStephano. And that, folks, is there we go. Going to be the end of that. Going to be the end of game number 3. So we have at least one more game going on. Bam. Let's see what happens there. LiquidHero, I loved the robotics opening this game. I wasn't super crazy about his warp prism timing. I thought that was a little bit wonky to say the least. Not that it didn't do anything. It kind of kept Stephano back at home. But if Stephano had read the build properly, if he hadn't thought that big all-in play was coming, I think he would have been able to handle, well, pretty much the entire game a little bit better. Before I go, I have one last thing to say. If there's enough, is there enough cord length on this? Yeah, I just need to pull a little more out here. Give me a second. This is really cool. I want to share this joy with all of you. You know, I'm just going to tip my screen down a little bit here. Check it out. It's a little USB. There we go. It's a USB Christmas tree. And it changes colors. I think it's about to change. Yeah, there we go. How awesome is that? How awesome is that? Welcome to the holiday spirit from Coffee Break. Alright, I'm going to go on to game number 4 in this series. Stick around, folks.